part two of part one. We were asking the question, are you in the right place? And the thing I want those of you to understand who are in a season where it feels like you are literally frozen in time, that you're stagnated in and you're not moving. What I want to help you to understand is that oftentimes it's not your fault, including when you find yourself in a place and in a posture where you're doing everything possible. You're doing everything possible in order to succeed in life and to move forward in life. What I want those of you to understand is that oftentimes it's not your fault. And you're beating yourself up and you're being hard. You're doing everything that's possible. Oftentimes it is not the tree. Oftentimes it is not the tree. It is the ground and the environment in which the tree is planted in. When a tree does not grow, it is not the tree's fault. Oftentimes it's the ground in the environment in which the tree is planted, which means that the environment and the ground in which the tree is planted is not giving the tree what it needs in order to flourish. And again, as I said in my first scope, this is not a scope for you all to jump ship and start packing the bags and leaving jobs and leaving ministries, because you've got a revelation that oftentimes it's where you're planted that stagnated your growth. But it's something to think about. It's something to think about. Are you in the right position? Everybody's listening. Are you there? Are you in the right position? Are you in the right place? And I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that because, and I need to say this, logically, and I said this, I alluded to this fact earlier, logically, the very first thing that we want to do is replace the tree. But have we ever thought about checking the grounds in which the tree has been planted in? Oftentimes we want to get rid of the plant. But oftentimes have we checked the grounds in which the tree has been sown into, or the plant has been sown into? Because oftentimes it is not the tree's fault that it's not growing. It is not the plant's fault that it's not growing. Oftentimes it is the ground of a soil or the environment in which we have planted the tree that's actually stagnated the tree's growth, which is not giving the tree what it necessarily needs in order to flourish. Oftentimes you're not flourishing in life. It's not your fault that you're not flourishing. It is that you have been planted in a position or in a posture that's not giving you what you need in order to flourish and in order to grow. Everybody's there. If you're there, type the number one. I want to make sure you're listening to this. Logically so, we want to get rid of the tree. We want to get rid of the tree. And I want to say this because church folk are good for getting rid of people that they feel as though are not flourishing. But before you get rid of the person that you feel as though is not flourishing, ask yourself the question, are you giving them what they need in order to flourish? Are you with me? Because church folk are good for that. Church folk are good for that. If they're not succeeding in their ministry, if they're not flourishing in their ministry, let's pluck them up out of the ground. Let's root them up and let's put somebody else in their place. Let's put another plant in the soil. Listen, before you put another plant in the soil, check the soil first. Before you get rid of the person that you feel as though is not flourishing, ain't moving, ain't succeeding where ministry is concerned, ask yourself the question, am I giving them everything that they need in order to grow, in order to succeed, in order to flourish? Don't just move the plant. Check the soil first. Because 10 times out of 10, the reason why the plant ain't flourishing is because the soil ain't giving it what it needs in order to be successful. I'm here to minister to people who have literally been beating themselves up because they don't feel as though they're succeeding. They don't feel as though they're moving forward. They don't feel as though they're flourishing. And I want to help you to understand that not all the time is your fault. Sometimes it is your fault because you're sitting back waiting for God to give you your piece of pie in the sky. The Word of God says faith without works is dead being alone. Can't sit back believing God for something while sitting back being idle doing absolutely nothing. Are you with me? But I'm talking to people, I'm ministering to people who have fought, who have warred, who have toiled, who have worked, who have labored, and yet you feel like you are frozen and stagnated in time and things are not moving for you. I want you to have an understanding that all the time it is not your fault. Sometimes, just as that tree, just as that plant, just as that flower, sometimes you are planted in soil or in an environment that's not giving you what you necessarily need in order to go to the next level. Are you in the right place? Are you in the right place? Again, something to think about. Don't focus on packing bags and jumping ship. But this is something to think about. One of the reasons why you are not succeeding, one of the reasons why you're failing, one of the reasons why you're not flourishing may very well be because you are planted in the soil or in an environment that's not giving you everything that you necessarily need in order to move to the next level. Think about it.